ask you first off, why you like politics?
You know, Jack, I have loved politics ever since I was a very little child, a little kid. I always tuned in to the news reports. I mean, I very specifically remember President Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson. I've worked on campaigns probably since I was an early teen. Worked on Kevin White. I think he was running for governor one time. I mean, that's as far as I go back. But I just love politics. I think politics are very important. I think the impact that politics have on people's lives in a very direct way, whether it's dealing with school issues or public safety issues or taking care of senior issues. I think it's very important, and I like having a voice in helping determine, how locally how those policies are made and shaped. I mean, even though I wasn't successful in the primary, I returned and ran a campaign the following year for an open seat for Dennis Rose's open seat on the city council. So, just really wanting to contribute locally, contribute to the city. You win some, you lose some. I mean, fortunately for me, I've won every one of the campaigns I've run except for that one primary when I was not successful. So, it taught me a lot of things. I guess just to be, resilience. Well, when I first ran for the city council, I was a ward councilor. I ran in Ward 4. And I was very interested in that, in the neighborhood. I mean, as a Ward 4 councilor, as a ward councilor, you're very much in touch with the neighborhoods, specifically. You have responsibility for a smaller geographic area, and you really connect with people in that ward. So that was, that was really my first elected office, in the city. So it made sense to me to start at the ward level. And at that time, I had 3 small children, and it became too much. So after that term, I thought I was involved with their after-school activities. They all played sports. They were all being transported to different places. I was coaching youth soccer teams for a very long time. So I was involved in those kinds of community things and thought, while my kids are little, that's where I need to focus, my time and energy. So I didn't run for re-election that time. And then years later, after my run for state rep, I decided to run for city council at large, representing, the whole city.
Mm-hmm. Mayor starts off and ends also by saying, your families are friends and have been, and you remain families. Is that true, or is that just politics?
You know what? We've always had a very cordial relationship. I think what he said about, I was a defender of his on the city council, I wouldn't quite characterize, how I acted on the city council as being supportive or being a defender, but what I always did was make sure that he got a fair and open hearing on whatever it was that was, the question before the council. So I think I just try to, no matter who is before the city council, no matter what the issue, I always try to make sure that people always get a fair hearing. So I think, from his perspective, a fair hearing, was probably more positive than he's gotten from some other counselors. But I think that's right. We've always had a very good relationship. My husband is a really friendly guy. He will send, cartoons, and I mean, he's just like that. He communicates with a lot of different people. So we've always been very friendly. I mean, I would say friendly. His mother is a very nice lady. I've seen her over the years at different, events. We've always been cordial. Yep.
Why are you interested in being mayor?
Because from my seat on the city council, I've seen things that I know need to be improved. The city can definitely do better. I think we need to aim higher. And what I mean by that is the city right now is at, a certain level in terms of unemployment, in terms of the kind of businesses that we've attracted, and in terms of the kind of schools that we are providing our students, and the kind of technology that is really lacking in City Hall and across city departments. So what I am going to do is bring the city up to the next level. Over the course of 20 years, you've heard the mayor talk about, what he's done, but we really need, I think, a new set of eyes and a fresh perspective to bring the city to the next level of prosperity. And that's what I can do. So sitting on the city council, there were a couple of things that I saw that help make my decision. And again, I go back to that February of 2012 CDBG report, Community Development Block Grant Report by HUD, that was never released to the public, that the City Council only found out about inadvertently when we were questioning the city solicitor in May. That is a problem. And as I've continued to do research, when an outside agency comes in, the news and the report based on their visit and their review of our programs is not good. So I believe that I can bring, I have a master's degree in business, I have a lot of business experience. That combined with my municipal experience as a city councilor, both as president, I've been the finance chair, I've been the chair of small business and economic development, bring that experience to the mayor's office, I think would be a very positive thing. And I have, specific things that I want to do, to address some of the problems and also really provide some leadership on the school side that I think has been lacking.
2 weeks ago when you went into the mayor for that report,
Mm-hmm.
that the mayor wasn't releasing.
Yeah.
I've heard from multiple people that they could hear you upstairs, downstairs, everywhere. You had lost your temper. Do you see it that you lost your temper? Was anything wrong with the way you approached that?
I don't think
Do
so.
you think you did it the right way?
Well, I went in person. I mean, first of all, I think that what I did was I went to the mayor's office to ask in person. I didn't send him an email, I didn't make a phone call, but I went in person. I asked him for a copy of the report multiple times. I reminded him that in the cover letter from Housing and Urban Development, they expressly stated that copies of the report should be given to the city council. This is 20 days later, and I guess you could say I was frustrated that A, he continued to refuse to give me a copy, and B, it was 20 days after the fact, and this report was and is a public document. So I think I did raise my voice, Jack, but I don't think I wouldn't characterize it as losing my temper. And it was really out of frustration that I saw it as an abuse of the mayor's position. This is a public document. That report was a public document. The cover letter had said expressly give this a copy to the city councilors. And he was saying no. Well, who was he to hide and hold on to public documents? So I was certainly frustrated, and I did raise my voice, but I wouldn't say I lost my temper. No.
So are you a corporate officer for your
No.
husband's company? And the reason I ask, I'm just trying to figure out what are you. You can do this full time, so
Sure.
This is good for you. Does that give you an advantage of it? Is that why you've been able to run and others haven't been able to run? Like, for example, Dean hasn't faced an opponent since
2005. Right.
Was it 5? Does not working give you an advantage?
Well, not working has allowed me to campaign the way that I want to campaign. But I believe when Dean ran first, he took a leave of absence from the police department. When he
Still on it.
Right, but when he ran initially, he wasn't working. I mean, he took a leave of absence so that he could focus full-time on the campaign. And I think that that's an effective way, if you can do it, to run a campaign like this. Running a citywide campaign, certainly against an incumbent, a 20-year incumbent, is it certainly is an uphill battle. So I've been putting a lot of my time, into it. So I don't know why people haven't stepped up to run against the mayor. I don't know. I can't answer that. But I certainly, decided in June to do it, and I've been working very hard since then. 20 years for any politician is a very long time in office. Things, I think, tend to become stale. I think people are used to business as usual. So 20 years in a political office, I think, is a very long time. That's not why I'm running, to unseat a 20-year incumbent. I'm running because I see things in the city that need to be done better, and I think can be done better. And one thing that I will bring to the mayor's office is a cooperative approach to working with people. A new spirit of cooperation. I would be happy to reach out and work with the city council. We've got a lot of talent on the city council. We have a talented state senator, and I would be happy to work with those people and again involve people from the community. So it's more, and I see things that can be done better, Jack. I think we need to aim higher. We need to do things, we need to look for bringing good jobs into the city, because they're out there. Manufacturing, advanced manufacturing is on a resurgence in Massachusetts, and I think that needs to come to Leominster. And also improve the school department. The school department has chronically been underfunded. We are a notorious net school spending minimum community. And beyond that, the city charges back, I think, almost $6 million last year to the schools for a variety of things that the city does on behalf of the schools. Snow plowing, there's some benefits in there for the current teachers and retirees, and those are appropriately charged back. But the city also charges $455,000 was the last number that I saw. It could be higher. Charged back for business office and treasurer office services. And that's where I think we can really save money. I don't think that those offices are operating as efficiently as possible. So if we're charging back to the school system $450,000, I want to reduce that, because that's money that comes right off the top of what is already a net school spending minimum level of funding. So I want to improve that. If we can, make efficiencies, and if we can save $100,000, well, that's $100,000 toward technology in the school system. If we can pay for if we can reduce it by $200,000. So that's what I'm looking to do. I am looking to make efficiencies on the city side of things, with the eye toward saving money.
Would that mean more taxes?
No.
For the school department, if it were the net school spending, and you're going to spend more, doesn't that demand more money?
I'm not talking about raising taxes to put them towards the school department. What I'm talking about is making efficiencies on the city side so that the monies that we have to charge back to the school department are less. $100,000 is a lot of money to the school department when they were really looking for technology. They had a request in for $300,000 for technology for the high school, and I think the mayor at one point was talking about giving them allocating $100,000. So, if we could save $100,000 on the city side, that's more money that is left in the school department budget. Yeah, the school department at the end of the fiscal year, was it at the end of fiscal year? They came in not that long ago, a few months ago, and they were talking about $300,000 in technology that they needed, technology funds. And the mayor at some point talked about perhaps allocating $100,000 from free cash when it's certified. Now, $100,000, they have a $300,000 need. My point is that, look, if we can save money on the city side and reduce the amount that we charge back to the school department, that's money left in the school department budget.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Can the mayor keeps telling people that he hasn't raised taxes, which others, of course, are challenged because
Yep. Mm-hmm.
you raise taxes even if it's not the full 2.5%, it's still a tax raise.
Absolutely.
Would you be using the full 2.5% if you're elected?
That's a hard question to answer, Jack, because our free cash hasn't been certified yet, and I don't think it will be certified until very late in November. And hopefully it will be before the end of the school year. And the other question that I have in my mind is, most important is to bring in the Department of Revenue to do a review of the way that the city conducts its business. And based on that, I think that would provide answers to the kinds of things that we need to undertake, whether it's an IT system, whether it is just retraining people, whether it's installing new computer hardware or software. So those things would certainly figure into the next fiscal year budget. So, would I need the whole 2.5% increase is a question in my mind. I mean, the mayor has gone up 2.5% every single year. I mean, except for there was a brief period in the 1990s, early 1990s when he first won, that he did not go up 2.5%. He's gone up 2.5% every single year. 3 goals. Well, the first thing I would do is bring in the Department of Revenue and have them do an evaluation of the way that the city runs its business, conducts its business, and they provide at no cost to the taxpayer, no cost to the city. They come in as consultants and will review how you do things in your business office and then make recommendations to help you become more efficient and save money. And they also are very much about best practices. So they know the state-of-the-art way to do certain things like process payroll, process purchase orders, get bills paid. So that would be, that's a very high priority on my list. Having an administration in place for 20 years, people do things. I'm afraid that people are doing things, the same way that they've been doing them for a very long time, right? So there hasn't been any change in the way that things get done. So that's what really needs to be shaken up a little bit. I think we need to look at how people are conducting business. We don't want to be conducting business in a way that was appropriate in the 1970s or the 1980s. We need people using appropriate technology for the jobs that they have, and that it isn't just lip service. Those kinds of changes would make, I think, a big change in the way that the city does business and make us more efficient. I mean, efficiency, that's what businesses are all about, right? For-profit companies.
Yep.
They're always looking to make efficiencies and change their operation because that's the way that they compete. Well, the goal is to provide services to the taxpayers, right? We have a school system, we're trying to educate children. We have a senior population, we're trying to make sure that they're safe, that they have decent housing, that they have healthy, water to drink, and that they can walk around or drive around the city and not be, run over, by speeding drivers. So the city provides a number of different services. So you're not trying to make efficiencies to make a bigger profit. I look at trying to make efficiencies so that whatever dollars you collect are spent wisely, and that you can stretch the dollars that you've collected in terms of the tax revenue. So it doesn't make sense to me, to not try to save money and be efficient, because then you can use those dollars somewhere else. And again, the school department is funded, chronically underfunded. We are a level 3 school system. We have a couple of schools. A high school is at level 1. There are some grammar schools that are at level 2. The 2 middle schools are at level 3. I think that's a real problem. And when you spend less per pupil than the state average, I think that's a real problem. And you've got 2 level 3 schools, and that makes the district a level 3. Something needs to be done. And again, we're an urban population, and I understand that that's very challenging. And we have a variety of different nationalities, cultures, and backgrounds. But there are other urban districts that do well, and I'd like to see us be able to, do as well here. And that's what I would work very closely with the superintendent and with the school committee in trying, and also with the administrators and the teachers, to really try to make the school system better.